Hello, I'm Jermaine, the host of the Main No Doubt Show. I just wanted to welcome you all today to my show. Today's show will be about friendships and relationships, and it's kind of elaborative to one of my previous shows, and I just wanted to kind of reverb or refresh some minds on some of the topics that I talk about. Because sometimes friendships and relationships are very deep and sincere, and sometimes they are not. So I just wanted to add some twist to that. And if you ever have any questions whatsoever, or just want to elaborate on your own terms, you can respond at enjoyyourlife4313 at gmail.com. Now, I just wanted to talk about things. Like I say, I use this all the time. This is my go-to gadget. I keep all my notes and stuff in here. But overall, I wanted to talk about healthy friendships. Healthy friendships and relationships are people that you could count on regardless of what the circumstances or crisis it may be. Now, we definitely like to know who we could count on in any given situation or circumstance. Now, real friends are definitely try not to take advantage of you, and they will not try to prey on your vulnerabilities. Now, if by chance, I don't know, some people can't really understand who that may be that may try to take advantage of them when they're at their lowest point. And most people don't see when people are actually trying to take advantage of them. Anybody that respects you will actually allow you that space and know not to try to do anything to harm you, be it the fact that you may be at your weakest point. Now, to determine who are your real friends, they will not pass judgment on you regardless of what you may say or do to them. Sometimes you may act irrationally and do something to a friend, and be it the fact that you are, maybe not in a stable frame of mind, that friend would actually understand, not to get mad at you, be it the fact that you're not thinking with a calm or stable frame of mind. Now, friends will be able to tell when your heart is hurting, and they will try to help you heal a hurting heart. Your heart may be, completely demolished by things that you may go through, and your friend, your true friend, will try to be there to try, maybe not to give advice, but overall, they will definitely try to console you by some means. I mean, it may not be exactly what you're looking for, but they're there when you need them. Now, friends respect your boundaries. They try not to push you overboard, and they definitely want to see you excel at different points in life. They want to make sure that you can actually, proceed with whatever you're trying to do, even though that you may be lacking or failing to push on, even though your circumstances may be difficult. Now, as far as being a friend, being a friend is the fundamental element of a relationship or friendship by any standard. I was told at some point that being a friend is not important to an intimate relationship. And at that moment, I realized that I couldn't respect a person that can tell me anything of that sort. So if by chance you think that you may have a friendship, or you may think that a person like you, it doesn't, I mean, and I'm not talking about, opposite sex or same sex or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm saying just a person in general, just taking it for granted that somebody out that you may not know likes you just because they smile at you, doesn't mean that you have a solid foundation with that person. See, basically, you have to create something that'll keep you bound together. So that's your foundation. And I've taken the words of the wisest people that I know. Most of them all passed by now, but at least I've took a collaborative thought from each individual as I was growing up. And even though it may not have seemed that I was paying attention to these people, they were always telling me different key elements. And they always told me that, hey, you're the person, that we see. They saw a lot of things in me that I didn't see in myself. So basically what happened is they were saying, hey, you're going to grow up to be, a responsible young man, or whatever they saw in me that I didn't see in me either. But those memories helped push me to excel through different points in my life, in which I found that I go back to those words, to what they were saying. So basically what they told me was that, you're going to understand that, a friendship is the foundation of any relationship. So be it friendship or relationship, the friendship is the most important part. Now, in intimate relationships, people get intimacy confused with being a foundation, and being intimate with people is not really a complete fundamental. It helps, but it's not the foundation. Having a foundational relationship means that you're actually able to, cross different sections with each other and still be able to cooperate on either side. That this person may be able to, work with you with whatever problem that you're having, and you're able to work with whatever problem that they're having, and you can use all of that and pull together to do or accomplish one goal or one mission. Now, if you have a true friendship or relationship, no one deliberately tries to sabotage that friendship or relationship. Now, you may seem to have friendships or whatever that may entail, but sometimes, even though those friendships seem to be genuine, sometimes behind the curtain, some people actually are trying to sabotage you, regardless of whether or not you think they are very close to you or not. Sometimes the people that's very close to you are actually the ones that's your biggest enemies. It kind of don't make sense, but in the world, as we see it, there's so many illusions that people put up to distract you from their real cause. And their real cause could be to sabotage you, and you just may not know that. So I'm not saying that you have to question everybody, but sometimes a lot of people are questionable. Now, I don't like to really divulge in questions about why. And the main reasoning behind why is friendships or relationships. And when you're talking about these, I mean, not just friendships and relationships, but just about anything that's related to why has a lot of variables. Now, I can't say why is not important, because when you're talking about why you do the things you do, or you may want to achieve a certain goal, you want to know why you want to achieve this goal. You want to know why you have a desire, you know, if it's for a positive effect, asking or answering why may not seem to be so bad. But then on the major side of why, you know, why is one of those, you know, questions that have so many variables that it will take you longer to come up with a conclusion based on why. I mean, a lot of people would like to argue that fact, and I've I've had my share of arguments based on me saying I really don't like to divulge in that question. But when you're talking about relationships and friendships, you know, the reason why a lot of people, you know, sabotage each other is because men and women are broken. You know, they're broken emotionally, spiritually, from previous relationships, lack of self effort and self control, lust, lies, and greed. Now, that's a lot. Now, emotionally, people are distraught from, you know, different relationships, carrying baggage from one relationship to the next. Instead of releasing all of the frustrations and anger from, you know, the previous relationship, they hold on to all of those you know, aggressions and anger, you know, and they push it off on the next person, in which, you know, truthfully, at this point, I could say that meditation, you know, even if you learn active meditation, meditation in motion, in which it helps you actually release negative energies when you are, you know, in a constant state of motion. But, you know, once you are actually able to release negative energy and then take positive energy, right, then therefore you can take that positive energy and disperse that, you know, maybe in your friendships or your relationships, or just, you know, grooming. We just say grooming, like but having like a botanical garden, or doing a Zen garden to actually keep your mind in a calm state. So, you know, sometimes, a lot of times, you know, when you're younger, you may not understand that. But as you get older, you start to understand things, and you start feeding your mind with things that may be very good for you. So, with that being said, right, we want to know that from that, you improve your spirituality by bringing yourself to a state of calm. And some by bringing yourself to a state of calm, it actually helps you ward off all the stress and anger from previous relationships, and you may find yourself able to continue on with life, not thinking about the past. Some people get hung up on the past and can't continue on with the future, in which it actually prevents them from you know, accomplishing bigger goals. Now, some people have a lack of self-effort. They do not put in, you know, what they expect. I mean, they expect a lot of other people, but they wouldn't put in what they're expecting to get out of it. So some people only put in, you know, 25% and expecting 75% from the other party. And sometimes that may work, but sometimes it may not work. And then over a longer period of time, if you've only been given 25%, and somebody else has been given 75%, or even 65%, and you still giving 25%, somewhere in there, right? There's an unbalanced scale. So by having an unbalanced scale, people kind of fall off over a long range or period of time. You based on these friendships or relationships. Sometimes friendships and relationships fall off, and people don't continue to communicate or, you know, have that bond with each other. So it's really important for people to actually, you know, put in more effort. And some people lack self-control. A lot of people lack self-control based on the fact that they have media and other things and entertainers and whatever that they that they idolize. And by idolizing, the media and what they see, daily, it creates a greed or jealousy or lust for other people, money. It doesn't matter what it is, but people end up, lacking self-control because of it. And they replicate the things that they see, and because the things that they see creates a lot of curiosities that goes beyond the normal realm of what they have in their brain. So instead of people being their own person, they end up followers of the things that they see, and they indulge in the things that they're seen by the eye, and those things are seen by the eye is bring forth more curiosities that than just what you can contain within. So it brings forth an urge of doing things that may be irrational or may not be logical, that may even hurt your friendships or relationships. So with that being said, people don't commit, and with no commitment, it puts a lot of people at risk. Put people at risk of being stripped of worth, value, and love, and trust. And I guarantee you, once you lose trust in an individual, so be it your friend or your relationship, your partner, whatever. Once you lose trust, it's hard to gain it back. And what do you do when you can't trust a person? It is really sad that you can't trust a person. But sometimes we end up being around people that we can't trust. I mean, it doesn't mean that, you can put up a brick wall around all of these people and think that, you can barricade yourself away from people that you can't trust. We live in a world of probabilities, 50-50 chance. You may be able to trust a person, you may not be able to trust them, but you can barricade yourself in away from all of them. So, but as I say, it does put a lot of people at risk, and ultimately, it puts you at risk if you're in a relationship of giving people unexpected, unwanted STDs or whatever that may consist of, and a high level of emotional stress. So, most relationships nowadays is based on what's perceived outwardly, and what is perceived outwardly is spawned by deception. A lot of things that we see may not be the actual picture that people paint. A lot of people paint pictures so that you may look at them as to be, very prominent or prestigious, and that they have the perfect world. But sometimes, seemingly in the perfect world, there's always imperfection, and we can always see that. I mean, from whatever perspective, and if you think deep enough, most people stay topical and they stay right on the surface, so they dare not to see past what is seen by the eye. But when you dig deep into a lot of different aspects of life, and you see things, and you do a lot of reading. I mean, you're reading not just romance novels or whatever, something that will ground you, and keep you kind of closer to earth, and you would actually be able to see the differences in people and what they show you, because what they show you is the only image that they want you to paint of them, which is nice, but we can't always, shelter out the things that, you know, are not so good. It may seem like we could keep things covered forever, but everything is not covered forever, and it will be revealed. You know, it all depends on who has the eye to see it. Now, like I say, these deceptions are lies, just to put it directly. You know, no one wants to really tell you that they're, showing you a lie or telling you a lie. You know, a lie is a lie regardless of how it is. You know, it's whether or not you are openly receptive to the lie, because sometimes the lie is a lot more comfortable than the truth is. So, those lies are actually a cover up to cover up something hidden deep within. And as I've said before, lies are masked with charisma. You know, and if you are the type of audible person that likes to hear things, hear things that sound good, you will be captivated by the charm that people give to you, which is really soothing sometimes to your soul or to the way you believe. But sometimes that charming display may ultimately hurt you in the end. Instead of hurting you in the beginning, it just hurts you in the end. It's kind of like looking at a weird concept of the yin yang, or what we call a yin yang. But really, that's the yin is like a little bit of good and the bad and the good, if to put it simple. But it's the polarities of little negative charge and a positive charge, and a little positive charge and a negative charge. So I don't want to dig too deep into that, but if you're an audible person, you will actually be captivated by the things that you hear. And sometimes the truth is not so easy to bear. It's very difficult to swallow and may feel as rough as a blow to the chest. Overall, it's not a pretty sight. But the truth is the truth. With all the charisma and charm, you may not have real love. Ultimately, no one wants to be alone, so the choice is yours. How you choose, you want to continue. The choices we make, we may not like it, but ultimately we have to live with it. The choices that we make are based on variables that only each individual understand. It may be financial, struggles, kids, long-term relationship obligations, you name it. There's a probability for it to exist, and you may feel obligated to this. Ultimately, people just want to feel loved or needed, just for the people that they are. They don't want to be altered or changed. They want you to accept them for whoever they are. Once you get to that point of people trying to change you, and they start to try to get into phases of manipulation. Overall, they shouldn't have started at any point to even try to change those factors. Really, people want to be captivated by the heart of the individual that they knew in the beginning. People change over the course of time, so you can't really, expect people to be exactly the same. But you got to be able to accept those changes, and hopefully those changes are for the best. If not, then you learn how to alter the way you think and try not to change the way they think, because people need room to expand. Usually, in the beginning of a relationship, everything is always displayed as moments to be impressive. This is why most people are really, you know, uh, you know, captivated by the things that impress them. But overall, that happens to wear off over time. So, by chance, you may not want your heart to be destroyed by all the um, mixed matched, you know, characteristics of people, because people will try to kind of like overthrow the kingdom within, because your kingdom might have points of serenity, and in those points of serenity you want to make sure that you stay at peace with the person within. And if you're not at peace with the person within, then another person may try to alter the state of the person that's within. Now, your version of love should be more descriptive. It should be painted into a big picture, and no one should have to guess what's within you. So, you should never leave your version of love vague for someone to play a guessing game, because love is not a guessing game. Or even having a friendship, it's not a guessing game. Be specific with what you want to get across to people, because if everyone is left up to guessing, you may guess wrong every time. So, if you put the cards on the table, make sure that everybody get a clear picture of what you're trying to paint. If not, if you leave your life vague, it's more like a roller coaster ride. It goes up and down, and it has an indefinite outcome. So it's up to you to let everybody know exactly what's on your mind, because if you keep it all bottled within, you may never know exactly if that's your version, or a cumulative version of love that you can operate on together. In the beginning of a relationship, people um, end up trying to impress, but then they end up trying to alter the other person to be what they want them to be. That's not something you want for good practice. What you want for good practice is allowing each person to expand and grow and do things, long as it's not really altering your course. As long as you can maintain, whatever specifics that you have, but don't try to alter another person's course either. Be receptive of the things that they're involved in, because if you end up not being receptive to what they're involved in, then they won't be receptive to what you're involved in. And then this is what I call the version of the checkmate, or stalemate. Because one person end up pushing one person into a corner and not allowing them to be who they are, or being able to express who they are. And in a stalemate, both parties never take part in each other's environment. Then, therefore, you have no communication. So, basically, in a stalemate situation, people, um, they in the beginning they basically agreed on a lot of different things, but over the course of time, they find things that they didn't desire, and um, they find things that they don't desire. But then, on the same note, they look past those desires of what they want of their own. They look past those in the beginning because the desire for that person was very intense, and they didn't want to let a person know that they didn't agree with something that they did or said. So they just bypassed that because the desire for that person was a lot higher. If people really truly love you, they can express themselves. They can tell you things and say, hey, that may not be so great, but it's not for you to take it overboard and just sit back and analyze the things that you do or say. But if people truly love you, then they will not try to change anything about you because they believe that you are perfect just the way you are. So, if things are really bad, then you have that extreme point in which you can't really tolerate something. But see, sometimes people consider things really bad, and it's all a measure of a picture that they paint in their head. So what you consider really bad, make sure that it's on the extreme list, and make sure that it's one of those things that you call intolerable. Because if you continue to tolerate the extreme intolerables, then you may need to change your current situation. But overall, if the course that you're taking is not really swaying you in any direction, and you can currently maintain and continue on and experience good moments in life, continue on with that. Mary J. Blige has a really good song called Real Love. Listen to the words of it. It makes a lot of sense. And Tevin Campbell, he has another song saying Always in My Heart. So you listen to those two songs and listen to all the words, and it'll definitely give you a version of what a person did to paint their picture of what love is. But I would like to hear your views. I always like to hear your views about today's topics. And if you can do that at Enjoy Your Life 4313, I would love to hear you. Maybe I could get you down here on the show. Well, you all have a great day. I enjoyed your time, and I always enjoy spending my time, expressing different thoughts of the day. Thank you.